Our world is rapidly changing, and we as a country continue to make progress. Through legalizing same-sex marriage, the United States continues to improve LGBTQ rights. During the summer of 2015, when the United States made a big step by legalizing gay marriage, the United States celebrated by lighting up the White House in the LGBTQ colors. Even though this event was a major step towards equality, our nation continues to be unjust towards our LGBTQ community. In 2012, several Americans protested against discrimination in the workforce, and this mass movement led to the beginning of progress. In these images, several Americans took it upon themselves to stand outside Barack Obama's fundraiser at the Fillmore Miami Beach and protest, and their protest led to change. On July 21st, 2014, Obama signed an executive order on workplace discrimination, and although this order did not pass through Congress, Obama used his executive power and signed the bill, showing the people's power. Another time Obama supported the ending of workplace discrimination was when he ended the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy in the military. This policy prohibited LGBTQ military workers from being honest about their sexual orientation. This unjust law discriminated against an LGBTQ workers' equality in society. These changes in LGBTQ policies were formed out of the people's support. Before Obama's second term, he himself did not even admit to supporting same-sex marriage.
I have been very clear on this. I have said that I am not a supporter of gay marriage. I think that the term marriage itself has strong religious roots and a strong tradition that means something special to people in this country.
But because of voices of citizens, his views were altered. Our government is built on the people's support. So in order for unjust policy to be changed, you have to use your voice. Diane Shore used her voice to fight against workplace discrimination inside the Library of Congress. And from that fight, she ended up making huge progress for transgenders in the workplace by proving it is illegal to discriminate based on sex as stated in Title VII. Title VII is more formally known as being created for the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This law prohibits employers from discriminating against employees on the basis of sex, race, color, national origin, and religion. In her video, Diane Shore addressed why she stood up against discrimination.
My name is Diane Schroer. Most of my life, I was known as David Schroer. After retiring from the Army, I decided to acknowledge Diane and say goodbye to David. My country, which I served honorably for 25 years, has not been as tolerant or accepting. As a civilian, I applied for a job at the Library of Congress as an international terrorism analyst to advise them on our nation's counterterrorism operations. I was selected as the top pick for the job. When I told them that I would begin work as Diane, the offer was immediately rescinded.
For people who are opposed to anti-discrimination laws, most of them cite religious belief. They argue that their First Amendment right on freedom of religion allows them to refuse to hire people based on their sexual orientation, since their interpretation of their religion does not agree with the lifestyle of the LGBTQ people. Martin Weinberg, professor of psychology and sex researcher at Indiana University, addressed his lack of understanding for those against the LGBTQ rights, and he speaks on behalf of the progress in the LGBTQ community.
How do you believe discrimination in the LGBT workforce has changed?
It has become more difficult to discriminate because laws have changed and because there have been a movement that makes it difficult to discriminate against people, but they still are being discriminated against. What I've been told, for example, by my lesbian friends is that as long as they respect gender norms and dress like a woman, people don't bother them as much, but if they start dressing in non-feminine ways, then people do. So gender role plays a lot in it. And for gay men, too, if they just act like men and don't camp and so on, they do better in the workplace. But there still are difficulties. Cummings, the factory people do motors in Columbus, Indiana, wanted me to come up and work with their employees because they were uncomfortable being around LGBT people. And so it still exists. But in my mind, it's very silly because, I mean, I'm around everybody, and I don't see why people are uncomfortable about people that are around people that are different than them. That's what the world is different groups of people, different types of people.
Although the United States government has taken many steps to ensure the protection of LGBTQ rights, that does not mean that there isn't still opposition to the government's actions. Anti-LGBTQ groups, religious groups, and businesses still discriminate and actively fight against the LGBTQ community. On June 17, 2016, a bill was introduced to the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives that is known as the First Amendment Defense Act. The bill aims to stop the federal government from discriminating against a person if they have a religious or moral belief that marriage should be between a man and a woman and that sexual relations should be between a man and woman. This bill would basically allow anyone to discriminate against a member of the LGBTQ community as long as they had a moral obligation to do so. Although a decision has not yet been reached by Congress, President Trump has promised that once he is in office, he will sign the bill into effect. The LGBTQ community is obviously very concerned about what the future holds with a president who has made very clear his stance on LGBTQ rights. Even though the LGBT community has made a lot of progress, the future is looking as though all their progress will be for nothing.
So what can we, as Americans, do to prevent discrimination in our workforces today? We must stand up for these people within our own workplaces. Not all discrimination is being denied a job or being fired from a job based on your sexual identity or which gender you identify with. Harassment is another way in which LGBTQ people are discriminated in the workplace, and one that all of us can take a stand against. As co-workers to LGBTQ people, it is our responsibility to treat them with fairness and respect and ensure others do the same. Even though not all of us are involved in the hiring and firing of employees, we can all take a stand against harassment of LGBTQ people in our own workforces. However, for more broad reforms, you can make a change in the government. By using the recently published Indivisible, a pamphlet which demonstrates to citizens how to reach out to your local members of Congress, you can reach out to your congressman and make them take a stand on this issue.
So take a stand for equality.